Have you followed our politics in Canada?
Yeah, you're a Trudeau guy. I like that guy.
You do?
I do. I like
Why?
that guy because he's young and he seems smart
And he has nice hair.
He's got beautiful hair. He boxed.
He did do that. Right.
But what's bad about him?
To the extent that I think we both despise social justice warriors, the ostrich brigade,
Yes.
the regressive left.
So explain the ostrich brigade.
The ostrich brigade is a term that I popularized, which basically refers to folks who have their head deep in the sand so that they can't really accept some of the most basic regularities in the world, right? There is no link between Islam and any terrorist act anywhere in the world.
And to suggest otherwise would be Islamophobic.
Exactly. So somebody who exhibits this type of behavior is exhibiting ostrich logic.
Right.
So Justin Trudeau is the kingpin of the ostrich brigade.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Handsome fellow.
So he basically his dad instituted as part of our Canadian ethos multiculturalism. And multiculturalism means two different things. Multiculturalism, when it's used in everyday language, means many cultures, right? LA is multicultural, meaning it's pluralistic. But multiculturalism as a political philosophy is actually a very dangerous idea, right? It basically says that when immigrants come into your land, they don't have to assimilate within your cultural values. Rather, you allow everybody to get ghettoized, because who are we to judge the values of another?
Ghettoized?
Yeah,
You mean like a Dominican community?
There's a
or
Dominican
a
community. Here are the
community?
Muslims are here. The no Sharia zone here. Here
Why
are
is
the
that?
Hasidic Jews.
But ghetto's like a poor.
No.
Why is-
No, ghettoized in the sense that everybody who is of the same background lives in that space. It doesn't.
But that's not a ghetto. Doesn't have an origin?
But let me, if I could finish my point about Justin
go ahead,
Trudeau.
go, please do.
Yeah. So Justin Trudeau, at one point when he was a member of Parliament, someone had said that things like female genital mutilations and child brides and honor killings was the type of barbarism that we don't need in Canada. And Justin Trudeau's position at the time was, how dare you use the word barbarism in describing other people's cultures, right? So he wasn't offended by having women's clitorises cut. He was offended by people who described that behavior as barbaric. So he is the king of the ostriches. So he's not a fan of the Godfathers.
Oh, no.
Or I'm not a fan of his, rather.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah. And have you followed some of our debates regarding allowing the sort of open, well, not open door, but allowing massive number of Syrian immigrants?
No, I haven't followed your debates,
So-
but I see what's going on in other countries.
Well, so of course in Europe they look at our issue and they sort of say, "Come on, are you serious? We have 800,000 migrants coming through to Germany. You're complaining about 25,000."
Well, look what happened with Cologne,
Yeah,
where the
exactly.
mayor of Cologne, after these attacks on New Year's Eve, was telling women to dress different
That's right.
and stay away from men.
Ostrich Brigade.
That's fucking insane. I mean, that is a very culturally diverse area that has existed in a very peaceful way for a long time, until all of a sudden they let in all these immigrants and they're having a massive problem with women being sexually assaulted. So instead of protecting these women and trying to do their best to ramp up the police force or do something to stop it or make sure that people are safe or really put out there that, look, you're in a new fucking place. And if you want to assimilate in our culture, you got to leave these fucking women alone or we're going to get rid of you. Everyone who does anything to women in our country, we're going to get rid of you.
Right.
You can't be here and make people feel unsafe. Instead of doing that,
But see, so one of the reasons why I'm very concerned about the 25,000 that are coming in, people say, well, come on, how many of them are likely to be ISIS members? But the danger is not only, people only think of ISIS members as the danger, right? But when you've got 25,000 people of whom a very large majority will adhere to certain values that are perfectly antithetical to ours, right? What are your views on homosexuals? What are your views on religious minorities, on
Right.
Jews? If we let in 25,000 Syrians, statistically speaking, is it more likely or less likely that it'd be anti-Semitism? I mean, that's an empirical statement that we could test, right? So it's not only about the fact that how many of these 25,000 are ISIS members, it's how many of these 25,000 people will hold values that are perfectly congruent with ours.
Right.
And so we have every right, without having the threat of being called racist and Islamophobe over our head, to engage in a discussion on how do we vet these people? I mean, how do you find out what percentage of those are going to hold views that are grotesque to us, and then should we be letting them in?
Well, what are the options? I mean, how could you possibly find out what their views are? You would have to sit down with each one individually and quiz them, and then you would have to verify their claims or their answers.
Well, at the very least, I would argue that you should never be allowed, under the guise of your religious practice, to espouse, hateful things, right? I mean, if you go to a house of worship and that house of worship is praying certain things that you and I would consider genocidal hatred,
right,
then my right to be free of the genocidal hatred that's coming my way supersedes your right to practice your religion of genocidally hating me.
Right.
And so that simply has to be the rule. And if we don't wake up to that reality, we're going to have problems.